Yeah. There are some men this time.
I thought that the team was all women.
Hey, what's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong at all. It's
Good.
just, it's now there's more of a balance.
Uh-huh. Did you feel overpowered before? That's a problem.
Well, no, if it was going to be mostly women, then it makes sense to mostly maybe focus mostly on a female demographic.
I, I,
And if it's more balanced, maybe it should be a broader demographic.
I
But
see.
I do have an article I wanted to share about the mobile demographic, and so I'm wondering what I'd like to do is just share that maybe to start.
Okay.
Um, so let me see. Let me share my screen. Um, so let's see here. This is the article. I don't know if everyone can see this.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so what you can see here is in mobile gaming, females beat males on money, time, and loyalty. And so really the female demographic is the key demographic for mobile. And this is a recent article. You can see it's August 7th, so it's just about 2 weeks ago. And they did this is from Flurry, and they based this on a sample of 1.1 million devices. So this wasn't like just a few devices. And what you can see here is that female gamers pay more by 31% on mobile than male. In terms of time, they spend 35% more time than male gamers. And their 7-day retention is 42% higher, so they are more loyal. And so they're actually a very interesting demographic. What you can see here is that this is different kinds of games. And you can see that male is blue, female is pink, not surprisingly. And then you have neutral. But what you can see is for Sims, females dominate, and they spend a lot of time, and that's not surprising. For the kind of game that we have here, which is more of an adventure game, it doesn't seem to.
Well, there is something for physics puzzle.
Yeah, there's physics
sort of
puzzle
neutral.
game, and that's neutral. That's why it's something like an Angry Birds. But you can see an Endless Runner, which is like Luis's. It's actually the shortest amount of time, but it's female dominated. Social turn-based is also female dominated. That's why something like Farmville is mostly women. Most social turn-based games are dominated by women. Bubble shooters, so things that aren't too violent. This is more like Candy Crush. And interestingly, casino poker is also women-dominated, and slots, which I think, of course, anything battle-oriented.
Yeah.
Tower defense, card battle. But in terms of time spent, down here in the more of the management simulation or strategy adventure games, that's going to have more engagement. So anyway, I just wanted to share that first, just so that it's clear that the mobile gaming is still, well, has become more female dominated, and so that's something to keep in mind when developing this game. So what I'll do is see if I can stop sharing. And
So we will consider that article.
yeah, so that article might be something for you to. I can send that Let me put it actually into. I'll put that into the side window here so that you have it. There you go.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Jordan.
Sure.
Very interesting statistics on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have been considering like converting mobile our app in an app for women.
Since you have a lot of women on the team, that makes it easier.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean like all the people that sees the graphics of mobile
Mm-hmm.
says like, oh, that's a game like for children,
Oh, for children. Okay.
like the graphics.
Yeah, so you may want to change the graphics somewhat to make it more appealing to adults.
Yes, like and for women. So we are not sure how we are going to do that.
Hmm. Okay.
Well, you could have a female explorer,
Yeah.
right?
Rather
Instead
than a
of
child.
a male explorer, have a female explorer, or even have a choice. That way, you know, you can pick your main character.
Yeah. Also, the lead character was a child, so it may make more sense to make it, an adult.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hi, I am Andres too.
Yeah, that's too.
Hi, Andres.
Designer and the friend of the illustrator. So we are thinking more looks like a game for children, but we want to explore how to feminize it or make it more attractive for the viewers, for the women, for
Mm-hmm.
women. So we don't think in change everything in the aesthetics of the game, in the prototypes, but we are going to make it more visual and attractive in some elements. So like the colors, the forms, and um, the rhythm of the game. We are reading some documents and we find it that the game experience for women are different for boys or
Yes.
for male. Like it is more, the game should be more slow, debería ser más lento, and more, ¿cómo se puede decir? Para verlo mejor, o sea, detallar, descubrir y observar.
make emphasis on details.
Make emphasis on details.
I'm sorry, emphasis on?
Detail,
Details.
graphic details.
On girls.
Mhm.
I think also.
What would you suggest to us to convert the aesthetics or the idea of mobile to in a game for women? ¿Y ahora? ¿Qué hacemos? Se fue la conexión. Radica left group chat. Ay, gracias, Víctor.
Este man es un amor.
Ese pelado cree que es maní, ¿eh?
¿Cuánto más chat?
Es así.
Ya la bolsita, la bolsita, las fiestas.
Don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear
Can
everybody.
you hear
I
us?
have to get out of the chat and come back.
Can you hear us? No?
Oh, you can hear?
No.
Can you hear now?
Hi.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Okay.
All right. What I was saying is that it might be very good to make it more like a sim, you know, a simulation or a management-oriented game, rather than. I mean, adventure can also be. It also appeals to women, and it's also good from the perspective that it has engagement. But the top kind, if you can change the game mechanic more to a simulation, where the person, say it's a woman, she gains capabilities, or she changes over time, right? And she can get rewards for becoming more capable at doing something, whatever it might be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Just because that category has the most highest level of engagement, also the highest level of monetization. So there's a direct correlation. It's like we talked about last time. The more engaging also usually means it makes more money. And we can talk about some of I think it would be really good to talk about the key metrics that you want to have. We talked about it a little bit last time in terms of the engagement and how long people are spending with the game. But it's very important also within the game to collect statistics on the users. So how many users, how long are they spending, and what are they doing within the game, and to build that management system directly into the game itself. Are you planning to do that so that you can collect statistics and information on the user?
No, yeah, we always see the analytics of the game, so we can see the number of downloads,
Okay.
the installation of the game.
Right, that's very high level. It's also important to know what's happening in the game.
Yes.
So the statistics and that you collect need to also tell you about where the players are in the game itself, where they spend their time, maybe how much time they spend on each section. And it should also enable you to do A/B testing if you can. I don't know how far along you are in terms of the development, but A/B testing allows you to put different gameplay for different users and then see what gameplay users like better, and then you can move in that direction. Are you familiar with A/B testing?
Excuse me, what kind of testing?
It's called A/B testing. I can just.
Okay, no, we are not familiar with that.
Okay.
Can you talk about that, please?
Yeah, so A/B testing is the idea that you can have two choices. So say the team doesn't quite know what would be the best thing to do at a particular stage of the game. Maybe you could have the player do an A, kind of gameplay, or you could have the player do a B kind of gameplay. So these are why you have an A and a B, two different choices. And so rather than making a decision yourself and saying, okay, we've thought about this ourselves and we're just going to do A, what you do is you push out a new version of the game, and certain people get, when they install the new version, they get the A version. So it'd be like maybe one kind of story play, and maybe they, you had all these parts, as I remember, that were spread around different planets. Maybe those parts are, attractive to women, for example, and maybe a different version would be attractive to both men and women. that might be B. And so you push that out, and then you see what the engagement levels are, how much time people are spending in this area, or if people are quitting. Right? Maybe more people quit on B than A, or maybe they spend more time with certain elements of A. So that's why it's very important to get a very fine set of statistics that's based on the amount of time that people play in certain parts of the game internal to the game. Does that make sense?
And the whole process is random, so you don't really pre-select who gets what. It's just by random.
Yeah, so maybe every other one. So this person installs, they get A, the next person installs gets B, next person gets A, next person gets B. And so you get an even, you get the same number on A and B.
Sampling, yeah.
Yeah, and then when you have large sample sizes, so say you have thousands of users, then you can start to get some very good feedback about what users in general think. There's kind of a well-known, it's well known in surveys that if you have about 1,000 people, then if you test those 1,000 people within usually a small error, usually it's called about a 3% error, you'll get a very good understanding of all people in general. It's kind of funny that you only need 1,000 people and you can kind of generalize to millions of people.
Well, it's considered a statistically valid sample.
Yeah, you just need a statistically valid sample, which is about 1,000 people. So if you have a few thousand people playing your game, then you can push it out there. But it's very important that within the game, you're able to collect statistics about how long people are spending in the game and where.
Yeah. The types of engagement, like the graph in the article on Flurry, which said in-app purchases, etc., all of the different things were being tracked within the game.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay. So now the important things, like we talked about last time, are this customer acquisition. So you've already talked about that, so how many downloads. But in addition to how many downloads, you also want to know your active users, right? So how many people are active daily and how many people are active monthly. And you also want to know what's the ratio between daily active users and monthly active users.
Exactly.
Usually at the beginning, because when you first launch the game, most people are still playing. Your monthly and dailies will be very high, right? They should be about the same. So hopefully a lot of people aren't quitting immediately. And so say you launch and your monthly and your dailies are about the same. Over time, though, people start quitting, right? And so as people quit and stop playing, or they're just not playing regularly, your dailies start to go down. But if they stay high, if you still have like 50%, that means you have a lot of new users that are coming in. And people are excited. There's good word of mouth. And you keep that ratio very high. That means you have a lot of momentum in terms of growth. Games that have been around for a while, usually it dips down to maybe around 10%. But if you're in like the 30 to 50% range, that means that you have a good attraction, a good word of mouth, and that makes you feel good. Usually, that you're moving in the right direction. So that ratio is important. Then there's the monetization metrics and the engagement metrics. And the engagement metrics are going to be the number of sessions and the session length. So how long people are playing and how many times a day, right? So maybe somebody's only playing for 2 or 3 minutes, but if they play 10 or 15 or 20 times a day, then you have really good engagement. And if that's across a lot of people, then you have a very sticky game, a very a very engaging game. And there's monetization.
The other thing that I wanted to mention with regards to monetization, Jordan, you've often talked with me as well about games that you, the element of challenge within a game can often be, oh, well, you're almost at the level, and they're sharing these statistics of, well, you nearly made it to the next level. You have just a little bit further to go. That makes you more motivated to keep coming back to the game and keep trying again and again to better your score so you can get to the next level. But there's always something that stops you just short of that level. So it, kind of keeps you addicted to coming back and trying to achieve that next level. That element of challenge is something that can be introduced into the game.
Yeah, and another thing that's very good for engagement is making the game more social. So when people can share with their friends, or their friends can join, they can play with their friends, or they can give things to their friends, or they can, team up with their friends. Then it becomes, people become more loyal because they can do something together with people that they know, or they can meet new people, and people like to meet new people, and that gives an element, another dimension to the game, besides just the gameplay, where
there's
yeah,
social sharing and social competition, both sides.
Exactly. So those are elements that can make the game stickier, and they can also, if you have a friend, it's something you can do together with them, and so that might also improve both the session length as well as the session number of sessions.
Sessions, right, per day.
Per day, yeah.
Right.
So is there a social element to the game?
Yes, we have in the game like score plays.
¿Se puede decirlo en español también?
Lo de los rangos, o sea, ¿cuál es quién tiene el primer puesto, segundo puesto, tercer puesto? Ranking, para que
No lo entiendo muy bien.
Leaderboard. ¿Qué más tenemos?
Pues vamos a ver el tema de social, compartir.
Sí.
Pues no, muchas cuestiones no han pensado.
¿Qué son los temas social en el juego?
Lo de la sincronización, por ejemplo, en dispositivos.
There's a alignment, like a synchronization of dispositivos are like slides, but I'm not really sure that makes sense in a game.
Was there like Facebook and Twitter engagement? I mean, like integration as well?
Did you hear Jordan's question? If there was Facebook and Twitter engagement as well?
Facebook, yes. Twitter, not so much.
Twitter, not so much, but Facebook, yes.
Facebook, yes, not Twitter so much.
So, in terms of Facebook, is it just an F login, or is it more you can actually invite your friends to join, or you can play with your friends, or you can share out your achievements from the game?
We're thinking to share evidence, share gifts, and
so that's the sharing of videos.
Sharing videos?
Yeah.
Right, that's more from a marketing standpoint. But is there a way for people to engage their own social network? So say I'm playing the game and I hit a new achievement level, and I get excited. I've been playing the game for a while, I hit a new achievement level, can I tell my friends about it? Through Facebook, easily, right? Just by clicking
or even Twitter, I mean, sharing the latest level that you achieved, or an achievement, like you said.
Yeah, where you just can post it.
Or you got something that was very hard to get, and now you got that, and you go, hey, I just got this. It was amazing.
Are those things you can do, or you're planning on doing?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, but we have done that
Good.
in all of our games. Like you can always share your score
Good.
on Facebook, and you can see the ranking with your friends.
Okay. What about your achievements, though?
Achievements.
Yeah, so achievements would be like, say you get to, it's not necessarily a score, like what Radhika said, you get an item, within the game, or you get to a particular location, or your character, gets to a particular level, either a level in the game or just a level, like in a role-playing game, the characters go through levels. I don't know if you're going to have just levels in the game or if you're also going to have character levels. But, you can...
Or like in the simulation, now you've morphed into it in some way, or, there's a new thing, there's a new look for you because you've achieved a certain level. That's the simulation thing where now you suddenly, it's kind of like the evolution of the character, right?
Yep. Or your clothes. I mean, a lot of things, even with kids or boys, in addition to girls, it's what your character looks like.
Yeah.
Right? Clothes you bought for it, or what new items you have,
exactly.
Or if you have pets or something like that, you can share that out to, your friends and say, "Hey, look how cool I look now. What do you think about that?"
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Okay. It's really just in the planning phase, right? Just being able to, because these are all things that increase engagement, and it gets your friends excited about wanting to join you, or, it's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that in the game. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
A lot of games, like when the higher level players can share things with people that haven't started playing yet, usually when you get into a game, the gameplay and everything is very basic, right? Your outfit is basic, what you can do is very basic, and as you move through the game, you become more, you get more stuff, you get more powers, you get more capabilities,
or or even like you were saying that there's various kinds of gadgets that you can acquire, right? The freezing gadget. Yeah. Maybe there are other types of things that can be enhancing, making it improvements to these gadgets that that are level based.
Exactly.
The not just the types of anti-freeze or anti-anything available. It's the certain types of gadgets are only available if you achieve a certain level of it, in the game. And then when you cross that level and go to the next level, now you have more kinds of gadgets available to you. So the types of gadgets you can acquire as a character also increases with each level.
Right.
I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing.
Yeah. Can we maybe a little bit closer to the microphone?
Okay. What kind of tools do you use for know the analytics of the game? The statistics and everything.
Yeah, it would be. I don't know if Luis is still on.
Luis, are you there?
He may be.
See him on mute. Let me ping him.
Ping him. There's a number of different. There's a number of different tools that you can build in to your game. But I know Luis has actually worked with them, and he has a good idea of which ones work and which ones are good. And so I would say he would be the best person to ask. But he may have stepped away. So let's come back to that and ask. He'll
be back on. I think he had to step away for a moment.
Yeah, I'm here.
So hi. We had a question for you, Luis.
Yeah.
The question we have is, we were, telling the team that it's very important that they measure, you know, not just the number of downloads and how many people are active, but they get to a finer level of understanding of the game. And so they know a couple other things as well. They know the session length, and they also know the number of sessions a day that the users are playing. And then, if possible, you know, where users are spending most of their time. In a runner, it's a little different, but in an adventure game, you know, you can spend more time in certain places than other places, and that can tell you. Okay, so you have Flurry as one of the, and these are some of the things that you get. So your retention, 2-day, 1-day, 7-day, 15-day, 30-day. Does it also give, and it gives you location, good, and it gives you session length. So you're using Flurry?
Yeah, we're using Flurry right now.
Well, that was the article that I put out there was from Flurry. And
so Flurry got bought by Yahoo.
Okay, so Flurry is now owned by Yahoo.
I think so, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, what you were saying, yeah. So in Flurry is very detailed. They will give you lifetime value, like they will give you retention. They will give you downloads, total amount of sessions, length, average per session. They will give you location. They will give you gender, male, female. They will give you custom events. What custom events are? You can say how. So we have a bunch of events like that. So when you go from menu to store, then it gets a click. So we know how many users went from menu to store, how many users reached X level.
Perfect.
And yeah, and you can put it anywhere you want. You can do like how many users touch on a specific item.
Now, in terms of building Flurry, do you have to build Flurry into your platform, or do you just have the game and you connect it to Flurry through an API? How do you integrate with Flurry?
You have to import their SDK.
Okay.
And their SDK, they have an API, so you can use it. So they have like you have this technically events. So this event will trigger new user, and this event will trigger this. And also when you implement their SDK, they already have a lot of things built in, like unique user, daily active user. Everything is built in. Mostly what you have to do is set up the custom events. That's like a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the analytics work from the team comes in.
I
see. People like contests or things, and what kinds of custom events?
Like if you want to know how many people are clicking on the store button, how many people, a lot of people will click on the buy button, but they don't buy. What's the most if you want to know how many levels is a player playing, then you can track that. You can track how long does it take to a player to take to one level, or did the player reach that level. Anything, pretty much anything.
Yeah, that's very good. Now, is the team, Andres and Angelica, are you familiar with retention and what typical curve looks like for the 1-day, 2-day, 7-day, 15-day, 30-day?
I mean, yeah, we know about the retention of users, but no, I really don't know.
Okay, because like retention in mobile games or social games, a lot of people quit on the first day. So you might lose half of your users on the first day. So you may have like your 2-day retention rate could be like 50%. But it's important to know what the averages and the standards are, because if you find out that 50% of your users are quitting on the first day, you know, a lot of people might get very scared. They might think, oh wow, you know, I thought it would be like 90% would, you know, stay, and I'd only lose 10%. Obviously, the higher the retention rate over time, the better. But the amazing thing about social and mobile games is that retention is usually not that long. And at 30 days, you know, if you have a 10 or 15% retention, that's considered very good. So what we can do is we can share with you, or actually Luis has real retention figures
Yeah.
of his own game, and maybe we can share that with you. Let me take a look at my Luis Pata. He sent
The one out. And then
um,
the kinds of things that boost that engagement as well, you know.
yeah,
I mean, we can talk about marketing things in a different session, I suppose, or today. I'm not sure.
right. Can you still see my screen?
No, we can't.
You can't. Okay. Let me see here. All right. Let me just expand this. Zoom in a little bit here. Just a moment. Okay. So here are some statistics. So let me go back and I can share with you my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what you can see here are the numbers that are coming for Luis's game, Drive Me Bananas. And what you can see here is he has iOS, for example. In this particular one, we don't have Android numbers. The high levels, you can have like total downloads, total income, daily active users, monthly active users. The ARPDAU is going to be the
Average revenue.
Yeah, average revenue per daily active user, which is usually around 5 cents or something like that. There's also ARPU. ARPU is your average revenue per user. And there's also ARPPU, which is your average revenue per paying user, which tends to be very different. Are you familiar with how many users usually pay for different kinds of games? Andres or Angelica?
Excuse me?
No.
I was just wondering if you're familiar with, you know, these different, these different, like ARPU or ARPPU, and what the percentage of conversion is, the number of users that are actually paying.
No, we're not really.
Okay, so if you're working with casual games, most are free to play, right, or freemium, and if you get a conversion of like 1%, so that means of all of your players, if only 1% are paying, that is pretty standard. So that means 99% of the users never give you any money. Only 1% give money. And so usually the strategy for paying users is different from those who are not paying, because it's a 1% versus 99%. If it's a more engaging game, it's a more mid-core game, then your numbers go up. Your numbers might go up to 3%, 5%. If it's more like a massively multiplayer online game, then it may be as high as like 12%, 10, 12%.
I wonder if it might be helpful, Jordan, to share that the article that you had shared with me a long time back about the different metrics and explaining all the different terms and so on.
Yeah, I could get that and I could share that as well. But all of these metrics help you to understand what the potential is for your game and also for the game type.
Right.
if you have, and I'll find that. I just don't have it right now.
I'll try to look for it as well.
Okay, that would be great. But the key thing here is that the more social and casual the game, the more numbers of users you need in order to get a reasonable monetization, because the users usually don't pay. You know, if you're playing something like Candy Crush, you're going to get millions and millions of players paying, but it could be less than 1% that are actually, you know, paying. If you're doing something like World of Warcraft, it could be higher. It could be, well, in World of Warcraft, everybody pays because it's subscription, mostly. It's shifting. But then people that pay on top of subscription, that could be 10-20%. It could be a very high proportion compared to a casual game. So you don't need as many users because, you know, more of the users are paying, and so the community can be smaller, and the users tend to be more loyal as well. They play longer. But what we can see here is the retention for, you know, day 2. So after, on day 2, you can see that only less than 40% of the users have stayed. So you've lost 60% of your new users on day 1. And that's very normal. These are kind of normal numbers, 39%, 35%. The thing is by 30 days, you want your retention to be around 10%. And so you can see what Luis has is 35% on the second day. 7th day is like 24%, which is a bit high. Usually it's lower than that. It's like maybe 20%. Then 15th day, 17%, and then 10% for the 29th day. So this is a very good, Luis has very good retention numbers. But if you're not familiar with it, you might say, wow, I'm losing 65% of my users on day 1, and I'm losing 90% of my users by day, you know, 29. But it's nothing to be scared about. That's normal. And what this means is that you constantly need new users, because if you're not constantly getting new users, then your user base declines. And you know, once your user base declines, your game stops making money or stops being interesting. There's no way to get word of mouth. So that's you know, sort of the basics when it comes to the statistics that you want to have. And then you can see here the session length. Session length is about 2 minutes. So he's also tracking this. And all of this information is coming from Flurry. So that's good. And this was, what you can see is he has it by platform. He has it by region of the world. So that was for LATAM. You can see actually his numbers. Let me zoom in on this. For a second. This is for the U.S. For U.S., his numbers are much better actually. You can see he has he's only losing 50% of his users in the U.S. And he's got almost a 20% retention on day 29. So these are actually very good numbers. The numbers that I showed you for Latin America are more numbers that are standard. But his numbers for the U.S. are actually quite good. So anyway, that's just a quick overview of how that works in terms of, you know, your statistics.
Okay.
Hi, Esteban here. I am a developer of the company. We use Flurry for a game.
Right.
Fast,
but we use it in high level and we didn't really understand how the platform works. I mean, we can see the settings for the logs, for the devices where the application was installed, but we never understand very good the numbers that you were showing us. The question is, what strategies can we follow to define the events that we really have to put in the game to get the information to track what the users are doing in the game?
So how do you tag the information, or what types of things do you do? I think we can talk more about marketing and maybe shift over more to Radhika, because
Yeah.
a lot of experience in this area.
Well, I mean, in terms of engagement of users and acquiring users, there's two different ways. One is the acquisition of users, and again, referring to Luis's success in this area, where he has been able to present the game with various contests, with Unity, for example, the strategic partnerships and relationships that he has been able to build with Microsoft, and all of these activities of partnering or highlighting the game, entering them into contests, and being the most recent one, which is a great achievement for Press Start, is to be in the top 20 of 600 different game entries with Unity. And just that engagement alone, getting that achievement of being in the top 20, got them 15,000 downloads. So this is an amazing way to highlight the game and how good the game is, and that usually attracts more users. So there's one is the customer or the user acquisition end of this. And they're all great marketing strategies, very diversified, but very effective at gaining users and that initial base of solid users. So that's something that he's been very consistently working on with his team, and they've been very successful at this. The other aspect in the marketing sense is to use social media channels, for example, to engage users. So you were saying earlier about Facebook and Twitter and how Facebook was a little bit better as a social media channel than Twitter for your game. There are ways that not just to share the score that you have, but also, as we were talking about earlier, is to highlight the different levels of achievement within the game. So you just got a cool new gadget. If it's a sim kind of situation with the character, you just became a new version of the character, and that was very level achievement based. Or you just said, hey, I just was able to do this. That was really cool. I had been trying to do this for some time, and I finally did it. I'm so excited to share this. So all this social sharing, and then the social competition. So being able to say, I achieved this, and I challenge someone to do the same thing. Now you are able to share the videos of your gameplay or your run, if it's an endless runner game. All of those things are very effective ways to drive up engagement through social media. The idea with social media is that you want to keep people coming back and using your game and using social media in order to come back to the game. And so this way of sharing content, of encouraging competition via social media on Facebook, for example, putting up the video plays on YouTube. I think Luis uses every play to record each user can record the run. So all of these ways to share that content is very effective. The other thing, which is really great, if you have a game that is much more adventure-driven, strategy-driven, or storytelling-driven, you can talk about the various characters in the game. You can talk about the different themes or the different stories in the game and put that on social media. So when you say you're, for example, you're planning a new release of the game, there's an update to the game, and you have a new version, you can create a whole marketing campaign using social media to talk about what to expect in it. You have a little story behind one of the characters and say, stay tuned, in the next revision or in the next version of the game, our character is going to be able to do certain things, and you show little video trailers or clips of what the gamers can expect, and have people go through social media to be able to say, you know, come to our Facebook page to gain access to the next update or something. And so there's always a way to get them through social media to sign up for various
Yeah,
things.
and maybe I'll just throw in a comment.
Sure.
You may be familiar with a game called League of Legends. I'm getting a little echo. I don't know if it's coming from you.
No, I'm not on headphones today.
Okay.
Hopefully it's not me.
Where it's coming from. Maybe.
Can everybody hear me properly?
Everybody seems to be. I think.
Hello?
Screen share.
Did you lose something?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
I took the screen off.
Okay, maybe that's better now.
Anyway, I'm still getting. Do you mind if muting?
Sure, I can mute.
No.
No, that seems to not be it. Well, yeah, that's it. Okay. Thanks, Radhika. Sorry about that. But there's a game called League of Legends, and what they do is they introduce a new character. I think it might be monthly. And so they have these characters called champions. And the characters are very detailed, and they have a backstory. So, you know, they may be like a goddess, or they might be a god, or, you know, from some part of the world, or they may be a completely new character which has some special powers. But they'll create an entire story around this new character, and so there'll be a big build-up. And so players that are looking for the new characters, you can get, this game has millions of players, but you will have hundreds of thousands of people that will go and check out the new character before it's launched. And then they'll have a range of videos. They'll have videos on the backstory where someone will talk about the story of this character, where they came from, how they were born, you know, what they did in their lives up to the point that you're going to start playing with them, you know, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and there'll be like a bunch of different videos on them. Then they'll even have ones that are with the artist. So, for example, the artist who is drawing the character, they will show how they came up with the concept of, you know, the concept art, and go through, you know, how the character changed, and then they'll have the artist actually draw the character, because a lot of people in the game like to then go and try to draw the character themselves. And these videos can be like an hour long. They're really engaging. And again, hundreds of thousands of people are watching these, and they get really engaged with the game, with the characters, and then when the character comes out, because they know so much about it, they can choose to either use it or not. And then they have a lot of skins that go with the characters. And actually, a lot of people just pay for skins, you know, within the game, because the character will have different looks. So, say the character that you want, there'll be some basic looks, but then if you want a special look, there might be 10, and each one costs real money. And so, you know, people will engage with the character, and then we'll do that. So anyway, just wanted to give you an example of where it can be really big, and what that's like. But any questions on that?
No.
No, we are familiar with the list of levels.
Okay.
We can use a strategy of making animations, videos, wallpapers, some kind of e-merchandising for the people to get engagement in the game. So like we in our Facebook page, we are we are promoting a new banner and animating desktop gadgets related with mobile. So that open us to make it more social and more attractive to the customers.
Uh-huh.
Players.
I see. Is it possible to get a little closer to the microphone? It's your voice is, I can understand a little bit, but it's a little hard to hear.
Okay.
That's a little better. So did you have a question at the end there? I know you were talking about ways to make it more social and using videos, but I didn't, was there a question too?
I really don't have a question, but we're gonna use your
Okay. Radhika, did you want to continue with what you were talking about? I just wanted to give an example.
No, I just wanted to add that we could talk about all the different types of. It just depends on what you want to focus on. I don't want to have this be a blanketing all the different aspects of marketing because it is a lot. So maybe what we can. I would like to find out if there's a particular aspect that you would like to concentrate on more than others. So if you want to talk about user acquisition, then we can talk about that more. Or if you want to talk about ways to engage audiences more, community building, we can talk about that. I'd like to find out a little bit about your interest.
We are searching engage in the visual.
Could you repeat again? I'm still having a little bit of trouble hearing you. Sí, lo puedo decir en español también. Es que no le oigo muy bien, no le entiendo muy bien. Hay como un eco que no entiendo claramente. I'm hearing not my own echo. I'm hearing an echo on their side, so it's very difficult to decipher what he's saying. And I'm not on my headphones because last time the headphones created the echo, so this time I'm just on speaker.
Can you give us a moment?
Hola, Radhika, ¿me escuchas? Hola.
No, that's better. I think for some reason when Radhika is on, it's echoing, but I'm not exactly sure why. Yeah, now it's echoing. So, but if you can ask the question, and then after the question, I guess Radhika can come in.
Los indicadores,
Did you want to ask the question again?
We have a question. What kind of KPIs we have to take into account if we want to make measures of analytics of the game?
Right. If you look over on the side, Luis has put some of them down.
Okay.
Do you see like session length and location and retention? if you get Flurry, you'll see they have all the standard all the standard KPIs and statistics that you need. Also, I'm going to send you an article on all the most important ones, because in addition to the ones that Luis has there, there's also like MAU, and there's DAU, which is monthly active users and daily active users, and there's also daily active user to monthly active user ratio, for example, and there's number of sessions, for example. So there's also in monetization. There's ARPU, average revenue per user, and then there's ARPPU, that's average revenue per paying user. Usually for a basic game, if your ARPU is about 5 cents per user, that's for a mobile game. That's okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is all right. So that's a good slideshow presentation on game metrics.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Radhika.
No problem.
So that's you know, the ones that you want to keep in mind. But there's different metrics for different you know, different types of things. So if you're talking about retention, there's going to be retention metrics. If there's metrics around engagement, there's engagement metrics. And then if you have customer acquisition, there's going to be customer acquisition metrics. So one of the key metrics for customer acquisition has to do with the cost per install, or CPI. So CPI is the cost per install, and cost per install, it varies between like $1 and $3, and so you know it might be like $1 to $3, and it can be more than that. Like around the holidays, it might go higher. It could be the holiday CPI might be $4 to $7. So, and that's just because a lot of people are competing for the same users around the holiday time, and so you have to pay more because everybody is trying to, you know, attract the users, and so the costs go up. The so then you have to look at the important thing if you're going to make a profitable game is that the return, so the amount of money that you make per user, is going to at some point be higher than the cost per install. So if your install price is say $3, and then your lifetime value, or LTV, is going to be like $2, then your game can never be profitable, right? Because the users, it costs you more money to get the users than you get back from them in terms of monetization. And so these are very important, because then you can look at your monetization metrics and say, well, clearly I'm never going to make money with this game the way it is now, because my users' lifetime value is less than what it costs me to get the users. And there's the cheapest users come from word of mouth, right? You don't have to pay for those. And so when you get a lot of word of mouth, then your overall CPI goes down, because a lot of those users are coming organically versus inorganically. So organically means that they just come from, you know, people playing the game and telling their friends. It's also known as being viral, right? So as a game becomes popular, you know, it just friends tell friends, and word of mouth leads to something going viral, and more people play. If you have to buy users, sometimes games can't go viral until you get the game featured, right? Or you get into the top 25 of say the App Store or Google Play, for example, and it can cost money, to get to the top 25. So a strategy that was very common was you would spend, say, $25,000 to $100,000 to get the game into the top 25, and then once it's in the top 25, then enough people are seeing it so that the game can go viral. So there was this kind of beginning cost that would, make the game attractive because people would see it. It would get free advertising within the App Store, but you had to buy your way in to that level, and then afterward it becomes self-sustaining, and then your cost per install goes down. So, so these are some things to keep in mind. If you can't afford to buy your way into the top 25, then you just really need to make a very good game and then promote it, like what Radhika is talking about. But these are, these are monetization metrics as ARPU, ARPPU. If your ARPU is like 5 cents, you might want your ARPPU to be more like $10. Because keep in mind, it's only a very small percentage of people paying, and those have to support all the other users that aren't paying anything. So anyway, any questions on that?
Oh, sorry, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, Luis. Great.
On the viral part, seeing how the case of Flappy Bird, that it went viral because this guy from YouTube talked about the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes we were doing that, talking to influencers in each culture, that will go a long way. And the reason is that people usually does what other people do.
Yeah.
So if a lot of people are playing with Angry Bird, Flappy Bird, when people started to play that game and it went viral, then I started seeing a lot of articles with people explaining why the game was so good, and without saying that the game was good or bad, the reason that it went viral was because this specific guy, a YouTube blogger, that has the 27, is the biggest YouTube channel on games in the world.
He's like 27 million people.
Yeah, something crazy. So they showed the graph, and then Flappy Bird was like nothing, like bottom. As soon as the guy talked about it, and the guy was saying that the game was terrible, but just because the guy talked about it, it went up. And then people forgot about what he said. They just knew that he was playing it. And then some people trying to make a name for themselves wrote articles saying why the mechanics and stuff like that. Then it caught on, and then in that moment, it's not even about the game. It's about playing the game. It's like the ice buckets thing.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not even about the disease. It's about being popular, and then you want to be part of a pack.
Yeah. Like my younger son did, the ice bucket challenge, and I asked him why, and he said his friends told him to do it. He didn't even know why he had to do it.
Yeah. So that's perfect standard of what once viral goes on, it's just because people are doing it. That's it. There is no reason, even if the game is bad or good. Like Angry Birds was dead the first year. Then the second year, it went viral. So Angry Birds is a good game, but it's not something so special that it went that viral. So it's when you go viral, it's a lot of things that doesn't have to do with the game. Like people just want to do what other people does. There is a point in that viral curve with that when that happened.
Sure.
Yeah. So like the first game we did that it went viral, that it has 160,000 users in 2 weeks. It was just because of the bad words and how funny was the bad words. The game wasn't particularly good, or it was only 3 weeks, but the bad words gave a high emotion, and you hearing that really bad words in a game, and then it was funny. That was it. So yeah, something to think about.
So was there anything else that the group wanted to discuss on marketing channels and social media engagement methods?
Actually, we want to send us to make future questions. Thank you very much.
I'm still having such a hard time hearing. I don't know, maybe my connection is bad or something. Could you type the question into the chat box, please?
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for the call, and I'll So that was, see, this is also something that people say, is that any kind of press, good or bad, any press is good press. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It just, it raises your profile.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
But these influencers, you know, that have millions of people, you even get a tiny fraction of their user base to try. It could be 1%, right? But 1% out of 27 million is 200, you know, it's going to be 27, well, if it's 27 million, it's going to be 270,000 people. So that means almost 300,000 people will try, you know, your game. And that's enormous, right? Most games, a beginning metric for a game is if you can get it to 50 to 100,000 users, that, you know, is really very good. It's very good if you can get 50 to 100,000. And Luis has been working on that, and it's taken him a few months to get to that level. But if you can get to that level very quickly, you know, within a day or two because of an influencer, it makes your life a lot easier because now you get very rapidly to that number. I don't know if you remember, for example, with Twitter. Twitter actually gained critical mass when Oprah Winfrey talked about it. So there was a period of time where you know a huge customer base, and actually it basically made Twitter viable, just getting Oprah Winfrey to talk about it. So that's another strategy, and Radhika, maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
No, I think I agree with that. That's why I think a simulation kind of game where you have it endorsed by a celebrity who has a following already, like a Kim Kardashian. These are fans of Kim Kardashian, so anything she's going to endorse and anything that the game sort of simulates or whatever, and there's a link to a top influencer, a celebrity influencer, like Jordan was mentioning, Oprah Winfrey or well-known person, that can have a huge impact on the number of downloads and the number of users that are going to want to play the game and get the visibility from the game. Or as Luis talked about, it doesn't necessarily happen immediately, but it can happen when something goes viral in it. So there was some aspect of the game, or there was a share, something, and then suddenly everybody was watching that video of that share, and suddenly it went viral. So there's usually some trigger point, and there's a way to think about it more analytically and engineer those kinds of viral campaigns, knowing, of course, what your user base wants. I mean, the key to any good marketing is really understanding your audience. So if you think that having that celebrity influencer or social influencer can dramatically drive up engagement, then you can plan for that and go and seek out. So if it's a sports game, maybe you go talk to a sports celebrity to endorse it, or have them reach their social networks. If it's some sort of a I don't know, like there's particular games like adventure games or what have you. Maybe there's an explorer or a famous explorer, or somebody that is well known in. Oops, I think I unmuted myself accidentally. So that there's a way to engage social influencers based on the type of game you have. So thinking about it strategically and trying to get that kind of a social influencer to endorse the game is always a good strategy. I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay, thanks, Radhika. So are there other questions on any of that? We've given you a lot of information on the different statistics and the KPIs, and then the strategies, right? The strategies for building momentum on the front end in order to generate, visibility and get a lot of downloads, and that's very important, because as these games get more visibility and they go viral, you differentiate yourself from everybody else in your category, right? So that's the trick. The trick is you get a lot of users. The problem, though, is if you're not a good game, then all those users will disappear quickly. So you need to get virality, but then you also have to be good, right? If you're not good, then the party's over very quickly. And that's why you need to have both. And in terms of like in our first presentation that we gave last time, the number one capability that leads to success is game quality. And also in this contest that Luis just entered, and he was in the top 20 out of 600 entries. If you look at the top 3 games, the top 3 games had beautiful art, and they were very engaging, had a very unique storyline, and very high quality game for both game mechanic and artwork. So that's what makes games successful. Any questions on that?
No.
I think it may be, when you first sit down to build a game, you're focused really on the storyline and the artwork, right? Is that what you were focused on first? And then, you kind of look at the business of games, and then you have to look at all these other things, right? How you promote it, how you measure it, how you monetize it. So that's why a lot of games don't become successful, because they're put together mostly by artists and game designers. And these people aren't really thinking about the business. And so, but in some cases they can be very successful just because they build such an awesome game and they launch it at the right place at the right time. But those are not really repeatable. To try to make a repeatable process and to have the game become more successful over time, you really need to have all of these metrics and all of these techniques. Also, if you're going to be raising money from an investor needs to feel that you understand how to make the game successful. Especially if you're not a known team. The investors usually invest in 2 kinds of main types of gaming companies. One is they know the team, and the team has been successful before. And so they're like, okay, well, you were successful before, you seem to know what to do to be successful. The second type of game that they're going to invest in are those that have good metrics. It's funny, Radhika and I just met with a VC in the mobile side who also does some games, We met him a couple of days ago, and he said most VCs will look at a mobile app and they'll say, well, if it has a good team and it has a good market and it has a good product, then you should be able to invest in it and probably make money. He said, no, I don't agree with that. I also need to see good statistics. If I see statistics that are in the right ranges, and it has those other three things as well in terms of a good team and a great market and a great product, then I know for sure it's going to be successful. So investors are moving to become much more quantitative, and they really want to see all the numbers, and they have ranges. So, you know, if your DAU to MAU numbers are below like 0.3, maybe they won't invest. They're like, no, I think your game is past its prime, right? We have to have 0.3 or better. And, you know, your total number of downloads have to be above 50,000 to 100,000 or they won't even look at it. For this quantitative VC, he wants to see an ARPU of at least $1. If you don't have an ARPU of $1, he'll just say it's too early. You know, come back. Come back once you have $1 for your ARPU. So they're going to be looking at all these different measures, and there are ranges that you have to get into. Once you're in those ranges, then you can raise money. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Jordan?
Yes.
I would like to know, do you have any, like the figures that you show us about dry bean bananas? Or bananas and... yeah, about the game?
Yes.
Which would be like the good figures for an app about the downloads and installations and that.
Yeah, how about this? For our next meeting, Radhika and I can put together a short presentation on the key metrics and the ranges.
Okay, yeah, that would be good.
And then that gives you something to watch. And then if the figures are better than that, you know you're doing well. And if not as good as that, then you need to keep working.
Okay, yeah, that would be good to know.
Okay.
Because we actually have like a lot of figures of our apps, but maybe we don't know always how to apply them or how to interpret them. Yeah, analyze them. Sorry.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And you know, once you have the ranges, it just gives you a much clearer goal.
And we can send articles ahead of time too, I think, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and another thing would be like, how do you manage the keywords of your apps?
Yeah, that's more of a Radhika question.
Okay.
I can try to put together some material on some basic search engine optimization for apps.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll do that for next time. We'll have a short presentation on the metrics and the ranges, and also you know, one on the search engine optimization.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
So I think that's it.
Any other questions on that?
No.
How is the feedback that you got this week? I'm sure you have a lot of information. You know, from the other speakers as well, and other mentors.
Yeah, that have been very interesting. We were talking with Charlie and with Bryce.
Yes. And that was probably easier because it had to do with, like you said, making sure that, well, I mean, if they were saying that, you know, your game is more focused on children, I guess that needs a full redesign of the art. So that's a big change as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but right now, like we don't. I mean, we are fine if we have to make changes to the game.
Yeah, you're early enough.
Yeah, we really want to this game to be successful.
Exactly. That's the thing. I mean, you could make just like an art project where this is the thing with when you get into being an entrepreneur, right? There's the passion and the love of what you're doing as one side, but then you also have to pair that with a business side. Otherwise, if you don't have the business side, then the dream won't survive, right? Because it won't make money or it won't attract investment. And so that's what we're bringing, right? You can go to school, and the schools are very good at teaching you about how to be an artist or how to be a developer, how to program, right? But what they don't pair that with for games is how to make a successful business. And that's why there's all these accelerators. The accelerators are basically like a school where it takes people in different areas and teaches them how to be more successful business people for high-tech, you know, companies. So this is a different kind of school.
Yeah.
School of the real world.
Accelerators.
Yeah, exactly. Well, good. I guess if there aren't any more questions, maybe what we could do is just call this the end for the day, and then we can just continue on Monday.
On Monday, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Hi. Okay. Yeah.
Well, thanks very
Thank you all very much. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Thank you, George.
Okay.
Hasta el lunes.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Adiós.
Adiós.
Bye.